All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us on our second day. I hope that everybody enjoyed the first day. I thought that things went pretty well. We had one little hiccup, but we got over that, and hopefully things will go smoothly today. Again, I'm going to just remind you of kind of the controls. You can enter chats in the chat area. You can directly chat somebody if you find their icon in the attendee list. And then, of course, during each presentation, please be sure to ask questions in the question box, and we will get to them after the presentation is over. So we're going to jump right in today. We're going to start with a tour of Inova, and they're located in Altamont, New York. They are the world's leading innovator and manufacturer of multifunctional space furniture. And you're going to see lean manufacturing in process at their plant and get a good look at their high-tech equipment. And then Guy Busey with Inova will join us after the presentation. So please be sure again to put some questions in the question box as we go along. So let's start the tour of Inova.
My name is Guy Busey. I'm the CEO of Inova. I've been here for about 10 years now and been through kind of every facet of Inova. Inova is roughly 18 years old. We make multifunctional furniture for the hospitality industry, student housing, government contracts, micro apartments, etc. So the founder, Lauren Sherman, was a set designer on Broadway in New York City. He had a small apartment, and when his kids would come over to the apartment, he needed a place for them to be able to have dinner, a dining table for dinner, but he would also give them his bed when they came over. So he needed a place to sleep, but also needed a dining table for when his kids were over. So he created the table bed, or the Inova table bed, which was our first product. That was a really good idea that stemmed from there, and next thing you know, we're Inova. So Inova, we're roughly 80 people right now. When COVID hit, we had to pause for a few days, and we quarantined for about a week before we became back up and operational again. We gave all of our people here kind of the opportunity to self-quarantine or stay home. We had some people that had some health issues and health risks and those different types of things. So before COVID, we were about 100 people. Now we're down to about 80 people. 75% of that being in the factory, the other remaining 25% being a part of, management or on the front of the house side, sales, order processing, those type of things. But we have a sales force that goes out there, generates the sale or receives the sale from an inquiring customer. They go through a list of items and the needs that customer has. Our engineering department and our project manager takes over from there, goes in, speaks to them on their concept drawings or their inspirational drawings. We narrow those down into our shop drawings and provide that back to them, which they give us feedback for. We'll go in, we'll start to build up our prototyping and do our engineering portion of that process. Once it gets through that prototyping phase, we've sent a sample unit down to our customer. They signed off on it. We start our production process. And our production process can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 years. We're 100,000 square feet. And then we ship about $15 to $20 million worth of product every year.
So this is our IntelliStore. IntelliStore manages all of our sheet material, stacks all the sheet material inside of the cage that's in there. If you look at the actual panels, you can see that each layer doesn't necessarily represent a specific type of material. It just houses it together because after it starts to get to know you and how you operate, it actually starts to learn kind of the best practice of putting sheet material in particular sections and particular layers in order to actually get it to the saws as quickly as it possibly can and as efficiently as it possibly can. So this is one of our panel saws, one of 2 panel saws that we have. Obviously, first start of our machine center and machine lines. We love visual indications. So some of the lean things that we do is we have our startup of the Holzma, our shutdown of the Holzmas, cleaning saws, and all of our different standards are in place right in front so the saw operator has it. no questions asked. Anybody can hop onto this, be able to open something up, take a look, understand exactly where they need to go. But all these visual indications and controls that you can see allows the saw operator to not have to think about everything all the time. He can focus on making sure that the panel processing is going well, that he's producing good quality, and just removing all these different items that they have to think about.
We don't do residential or end users or direct to end users. We do go through different applications like Wayfair, Overstock, those items that can get our product to an end user or kind of a residential user. We do anywhere from our standard product line and our standard catalog of products that we have up to as highly custom as you can possibly get to. I know that seems to be the sticking point in our industry a little bit. A lot of people are unable to kind of view themselves and see themselves with a larger manufacturer or a 100,000 square foot manufacturer these days because they're a smaller cabinet shop and because they do really custom one-offs over and over again. But our process and the way that we run things is the same thing as that small cabinet shop. We just do 1,000 of them after we've gone through the custom aspect of it.
So here's our edge bander, obviously very standard. Every edge bander is kind of the same. Put parts into it, let it keep moving, go through all that good stuff. The biggest, one of the things that we do for ours, utilizing the software that we have, we create all of our different edge band codes, create all of our different labels. All this information is on this sticker for this part. If you're not utilizing something like that, it's super beneficial in order to do so. Makes it really simple, really easy to understand. You can help track something down the line. The other big thing is our focus on how we handle and move parts of material down. And if you look over here, we have our different conveyors and roller systems that allow us to move and transfer parts easily, effectively, without breaking our backs, without creating damage, as little parts handling as possible.
When we add automation to our processes, we don't think about it as an opportunity to eliminate employees. We look at automation as an opportunity to supplement our employees. So our saw operators, which are literally the beginning portion of any of our processes that we have, our saw operators used to be our forklift operators, they used to be our sheet material handlers, and then they were finally a saw operator. And what we found was, number one, quality of life, and the quality of life that we're looking for our staff and for our people is to be able to go home at the end of the day and not be so exhausted that, they can't play baseball with their kids or they don't have enough energy to go mow their lawn and they just, need to pass out on the couch because they got the crap kicked out of them all day long. So by having a machine come in here that can help do that and help kind of allow them to have an enjoyable day, a hard-working day, but not an exhausting type of day is super beneficial for us. The second portion of that, which is just as beneficial, is the quality that comes from that. Now that our saw operator actually gets to be a saw operator and isn't a forklift operator and a sheet material handler all at the same time, he gets to focus on his job. And that's to cut and make sure that he's producing the highest quality part for the next portion down the line.
So here we're at our Wiki 200. We have two 200s, a BHX 500, that's a top and bottom double base router system. And then we also have our Bucelato, more general pod and rail system. But again, same thing on our CNCs, just like our edge banders and our saws. We want to make sure that we have the material and everything as closest to our operators and to our people as we possibly can, making it nice and simple for them and easy for them to do. As you can see, she's micrometering the parts now, and she's getting to focus on the quality of the material, making sure that she's got correct material in place versus running around trying to find what parts she's supposed to machine next and do all those things. Touchscreens, machine, everything right in front of her, all the information she needs in order to CNC that part and be able to make the best part she can, again, for the next customer down the line or for the next part down the line.
And our CNC machines do all of our drilling, all of our routing, and get our parts either ready to be packaged or to go into finishing or into our sub-assembly areas.
So this is how we manage some of our parts, especially parts that we do create a little bit of batching with. They go inside of these cubbies. You can see on this side, we know that we need parts because we've got our trigger right here. So this is the next part that they're working on down the line to refinish and replace and supplement that. And and then on the other side you can see the configurations to where it goes, and it basically allows your operator to pull that part and be able to go. What we're not looking to do is have our parts travel any more than 40 feet or 50 feet at a time, which is why we kind of call it our bullet. It starts down at the saw area in the IntelliStore and just shoots its way all the way down through our line. So it's literally just continuing to leapfrog down the line to the next portion where it needs to go without a lot of travel. You won't see forklifts running through our operation with huge pallets of material. That's just not how it works. We do it in small enough quantities to where we can just continue to move it forward by hand and with our carts and different trolley systems that we have.
Our subassembly side consists of 4 subassembly lines. Those 4 lines allow us to run 4 orders at any given time. We do not allow any more orders into our process until one of those lines has been opened to receive or accept another order. That really helps us to keep down on WIP, work in progress, and make sure that we're not overloading our machine centers and putting too many orders onto the production floor that we can't sustain or we can't get through. Melamine orders go directly into subassembly. All of our veneer and our finishing orders go into our finishing line and go through our finishing process. Finishing process consists of obviously sanding through our panel sander, hand sanding with our labor force that we have, going into a hand staining process, and then from there either going through our automated Maycor spray line or into our 2 traditional open face booths that we have with our sprayers that are in there. We have an upholstery section where we do all of our cutting and sewing and a part of our subassembly area. And then it gets into our packaging, which is very lean. We do mostly full truckloads that we have control of the truck. It's not stopping at 15 different places.
So prepping for the trucks for the next day, they come into here. We've already got them pre-established, the 53-foot trailers that they're going into. They line them up as they go, as they get packaged. And then when our forklift operator comes over to load them into the truck, it's already set up. They don't have to think about it. They can literally just load it right in based off of where it's at now.
Finishing's an interesting one for us. It's a bit of a bottleneck. It's one of those things where you kind of hit, either you have to get really labor intensive with it in order to peak demand, or you have to put a substantial amount of investment into machinery in order to meet that demand. So constantly looking at finishing. It's absolutely our bottleneck at the moment. And when we have an order that requires finishing, kind of all roads lead around the finishing area in order to help supplement and sustain that.
Yeah, so this is some of our hardware. This is kind of literally our nuts and bolts and different screws. We have a CMR system that manages all of our material, from our edge bander to our sheet material down to every nut, bolt, staples, screw gun, you name it. We have it in there. We have it cataloged. We actually even have a visual for it. So one of these is a Kanban card that we utilize that has what our part number is for it, our part description for it, and what our reorder quantity is as needed. So in this particular one, it's as needed, meaning depending on the order and the replenishment of that order. And on this one here, for one of our hex nuts, the minimum level we're willing to go is to 50, and then a reorder quantity of 300. So what happens is if we were to run out, kind of like how you see this one, we flip this box upside down, we grab our card off of that, this card then goes into a Kanban area, and that triggers our purchaser to reorder those parts so that we never run out. And we always know when we need more, and it's a very, very simple, effective way of managing inventory without having to have 6 employees go around all day with a clipboard checking inventory levels and going through. Everybody is a part of that process. When we know we're low, we pull it and we move on from there. And if you look around inside of our hardware area and even on our assembly lines, you'll see these cards all over the place.
We've been fortunate enough to go to many different wood manufacturing facilities. Been fortunate enough to travel to Japan to learn how Toyota production system works. It's really cool to see lean becoming such a big part of American manufacturing, but specifically the wood industry. 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when we first started our lean journey, anytime you went to a seminar, anytime you went to a conference, if you were to talk about lean or something that had to do with lean, you were kind of the weirdo in the corner, like, oh, those crazy lean people, like they're nuts. They don't know what the heck's going on. So it's really nice to see that the value of lean and what lean provides is really starting to get into the masses of our industry. Lean is all about making all of our processes much easier, period. It's about taking the burden off of your staff. It's about taking the burden off of your people and your processes and literally making it so that everything is so simple and so easy to do. It just inherently becomes better quality, becomes a faster process. Obviously, a part of our lean aspect of all this is to make sure, number one, our culture is paramount, the attitudes of our people, and just their overall well-being is the most lean portion of what we do.
Okay, great. So we just saw the video from Inova, and joining us now is Guy Busey. Guy, thanks for joining us, and that was a great video. Good to see. I was there in February, I believe, and I was really excited to bring our group there because you have such a nice, clean plant, high tech, and really doing some neat things. I was really excited for everybody to be able to walk through, but then 2020. So what do you do?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, no, it was neat. It was a great experience. I always get nervous because, in person and being able to actually be there, you can learn a ton, but I think the video was very valuable just from an overall feel and getting an understanding to it. And then the question and answer should be really good because, it should hopefully spark some questions and things like that and get people's minds going a little bit.
Right. Great. So we'll do that after this.
Yeah.
So we'll just walk through a few questions that I have for you. Tell us again what your role in the company is.
Sure. So I'm the Chief Executive Officer. I've been at Inova for about 10 years. I started as a floor subassembly supervisor of 4 people and have literally just worked my way up since then. And
okay.
It's been a cool ride.
Great. Were you always in the woodworking industry, or did you come from a different industry?
No, I was in the Marine Corps before this. So I did 8 years in the Marine Corps. I was out of the Marine Corps for about 3 days when I applied to Inova and started working at Inova. And just my logistical leadership background, all that stuff really plays very well in the manufacturing field. Woodworking was a secondary kind of hobby of mine and something that was pretty therapeutic for me and helped me get through some of the things that I dealt with, obviously, from my tours overseas and stuff like that.
Great. Good. So tell me how business has changed in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, well, Inova specifically has changed pretty greatly. When I started, we were 18,000 square feet, 12 people, and about $400,000 in sales. Just before COVID hit, we still are. We're 100,000 square feet. We're about 100 employees, and last year we did about 19 million in sales.
Wow.
Post-COVID, our dynamic has changed a little bit. We were fortunate enough, and I'll say creative enough to figure out how to get our butts back into the offices and manufacturing up and running again. It took about 3 days to figure out where we fit into those essential roles. We gave everybody in our company a week separation or kind of a week of quarantine, and then got everybody back in that could and wanted to work. So we gave everybody the option to come back that wanted to. People that were high risk from a medical standpoint, we obviously let them stay home. And then we did have a few people that just decided to collect unemployment and go their routes. Mm-hmm. Post-COVID, still about 100,000 square feet. We dropped down to roughly just under 60 people. Mm-hmm. So we had a bit of attrition. And not that we laid anybody off, but just due to circumstances and the way things went, we lost a few people as far as that goes. And we obviously stopped hiring. When you hit 100 employees, there's just a natural attrition rate that occurs. Mm-hmm. So we have people going here and there, finding new jobs, people going out to California to start their dream coffee shop that they've always wanted to. Different things are happening at that point. Usually we have a revolving door as far as interviewing going and getting new people in and kind of a part of the process so that we're always upticking or maintaining our employment base. Sure. And we paused that. We closed the doors. During COVID, we weren't doing any hiring, and we just let that attrition level kind of decrease us down a little bit, which is, I'll tell you, actually been fairly nice. It's given us kind of a fresh start and a place to go.
On the sales side of that, we were doing everything everybody else was doing. We were understanding what was going on. Hospitality is a huge portion of our business and our industry, and obviously hospitality got hit really hard. They paused orders, everything stopped. We came up with some really unique ways to figure out the working from home aspect of it. Our marketing did a great job of kind of gearing our products towards working from home, children doing homeschooling, and then looking out to, the different type of industries that were in student housing, micro apartments, those things. And we're actually going to finish off the year exactly where we finished last year.
Great.
So yeah, we're taking that as a real big win. From a goal standpoint, we have been growing quite a bit over the last few years. We wanted to use 2020 as kind of a stabilizing year, let the dust settle, not get any more machinery into our facility, not do any more huge expansions, all those things, just really kind of enjoy the fruits of our labor from what we've done the past 5 years. And COVID made sure we did that.
It forced you.
Yeah, I mean, it forced our hand, right? But we're super excited that, we're still on par with the year previously, and we're looking good to bounce back in 2021, really well.
Great. Yeah, I could see your product being innovative enough to be able to move into these new ways that people are functioning now, like you say, the working from home and the the whole hospitality thing, the office, people having to office at home. It's when you have smaller space, your types of products are very interesting for those kind of people, I would bet.
Yeah, it is, and it's been neat and a great learning opportunity for us. And that's it's a general philosophy that we have as a company, right? And our lean manufacturing, the way we do things, we should always have challenges in front of us. There should always be things that bug us. We should always have room for improvement for us. And when you have that type of mentality, you deal really well with adversity, and you deal really well with change, right? And I'll tell you, the Marine Corps has a really good way of kind of ingraining that into you too, because the one thing you learn from the military, the Marine Corps specifically, is it can always get worse. Period. There's one thing is it can always get worse. So you use literally opportunities. You turn the lemons into lemonade, as a nice cliche, and you figure out ways to do it. Our marketing has improved, our sales has improved, and just kind of like our core principles have really strengthened because of it.
Great, cool, very cool. So how has the supply chain been affecting you?
So luckily for us, we don't have a lot of overseas vendors. Even our metal parts were made in the United States. And, it's not that it was our primary goal. We really love the fact that we can say made in America. And ultimately 90% of our product is sourced from America as well. Right. So when some of our large customers reached out to us like, hey, we see that you guys aren't shut down, but how is this going to affect your suppliers? Especially when, China and other countries were shutting down before we did. We were able to say, we're kind of all American based or North American based to begin with. So we're doing okay. We keep really low inventory in-house. So it had the potential to be something that was scary for us, but the fact that it still was, kind of local or within our continent actually really helped us a lot. And it's not a challenge that we necessarily had to deal with.
Okay, good. Do you have any plans to expand in the next 5 years or so?
Yeah, so I mean, we're always looking to expand. We kind of have our core competencies that we like to look at, and we've utilized that to grow our company. We haven't tried to become a cabinet manufacturing, woodworking company. We really focus on our product and the multifunctional furniture aspect of what we do. We've carved out our portion of the industry, and that's what we really do. So we like to focus on the things that we're good at, stick to those things, and not just grasp at straws or try to get every piece of possible low-hanging fruit that's out there from other potential things. And it's really kept us guided and focused. But with that said, we have some limitations. Metalworking and those type of things, because we have custom mechanism, because we have custom metal parts, a big portion of our cost of our product is due to outside vendors and third-party vendors. So
we would love to see ourselves expand kind of in the other areas that we're working in, our upholstery areas, our metalworking areas, and kind of, build a more robust network internally that helps support our panel processing and our wood manufacturing.
Sure. Okay. Okay, good. So you're pretty strong in keeping the production in the USA, and I'm assuming you know that will strengthen your business going forward. I think that's something that a lot of our members have been, grateful for, that they can say, "Yep, made in the USA."
Yeah, huge sales plus for sure.
Yep. I think that's getting more something that consumers are considering more frequently than they used to, for sure.
Absolutely.
What are your key areas of concern right now?
Yeah, so I mean, our areas of concern, number one is dealing with the dynamic or the shift. It's been very interesting from an employment standpoint. And even leading up to 2020, pre-COVID, the big buzz articles in the woodworking industry and the things that, really brought the crowds to the conference centers and stuff were people talking about employment and employees specifically. Yeah. I feel over the last 2 to 3 years, we've kind of really started to beat up our employment base and our workforce. And, one of the big things that I've talked about is the fact that, we always kind of tend to target and blame everything on the workforce, when instead we should be taking a look in the mirror and understanding, why don't we have the workforce? Because there's plenty of industries where people are literally, climbing over top of each other in order to get into the industry. Well, because they're highly appealing to that workforce, right? So we need to make sure that we're careful and we don't double down on blaming everything on the employees, blaming everything on the workforce. And we need to make sure during COVID that we're taking an even harder look in the mirror. Because, the unfortunate thing that it's done and the concern that it's done is, a lot of people have been staying home, and there's a lot of negatives to staying home, but there was a lot of financial relief to people to stay home. So they were able to stay home, hang out with their kids, enjoy their house life and stuff like that. And, the unfortunate part is a lot of people have had the opportunity to be like, wow, why have I been just working my butt off for so long? And I think it's really shifted the people's focus and ultimately what they hold most important for them. So we're going to have a lot of our workforce coming back, and making that paycheck isn't going to be necessarily their number one priority anymore, because they've been able to see the other side of it.
Right.
So, my concern is, as an industry as a whole, is that we're going to be so focused on dollars and cents all the time. We're going to make our environments inside of our facilities even worse for the workforce, and we're going to push them away. Versus saying, hey, we've got to really make it enticeful for people to want to come back and do that. Mm-hmm. And we have to put our personal beliefs aside, right? I'm a worker, I'm a hard worker, I'll work till I can't work anymore. Right. Not everybody's built that same way, and we have to make accommodations for everybody.
Right.
So that's one concern. Another concern, for me specifically, kind of is, I want to see the hospitality industry bounce back. Yeah. And I know for furniture manufacturers, hospitality is a big piece of our pie, and really crossing our fingers that the hospitality industry bounces back. We saw it in 2011, 2012 during a downtick. We obviously saw it in 2007, 2008, when just from an economic standpoint, we were in a real downtick. Hospitality will bounce back. It's more about just how long it's going to take in order for it to do it.
Right.
So making sure we're leaning ourselves out, making sure that we're not overburdening ourselves, and surviving the storm is a big portion of it.
Sure. Great. Are you focusing on any areas of investing, either facility wise or machinery wise, or just really employee wise?
Yeah. So, the investment is in making sure that we're taking the correct orders. Again, a lot of times, especially when you're a small company, you can risk taking every order that comes your way and getting it in. As your company grows, you have to be a little bit more selective about what you're willing to take on and what you're not. Mm-hmm. A no today for a yes tomorrow is a very, very important thing as your company starts to grow. Yeah. So don't let panic set in and take over educated decision making and doing those type of things. Ultimately, just because of not knowing the kind of playing field that we're on right now. Obviously, investments are definitely slowing way down for us. Cash flow is king in any situation like this. I'll say, like, we personally were able to survive the initial stages of this because we had really good cash flow. We were able to keep our employees on payroll. We were able to keep, our overhead going, all that type of stuff. So our main priority right now is cash flow all the way, making sure we have enough. And, ultimately, as we go into flu season, ultimately, as we go into this next potential uptick of COVID, and, lastly, we've got to see what happens with the elections and how everything stabilizes after the elections.
Right.
We'd be foolish to not have that as a part of our conditions right now.
Sure. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. So workforce, talk to me a little bit about how you develop your workforce and how you, bring people in and give them an experience like you're talking about that gets them excited to be a part of this industry.
Yeah, no, I mean, pre-COVID, we had a bunch of things that we did. And, one of the concerns or one of the challenges that we're facing too right now is COVID and how we've kind of brought people into our facility. So pre-COVID, I'll put it, and hopefully post-COVID, we can get back to it. We had our morning meetings every day, 30 minutes every day. Everybody gets together. Different person leads that meeting every day. And I mean, it's really an opportunity for us all to get together. It's been very, I'll tell you, obviously always focusing on the positives or the potential positives that come from things is it's been very nice to see us running for 5 years in a particular pattern and having a good chunk of that wiped out from us and, the rug swept out from underneath us. Because there's absolutely times, we give an hour every single morning to all of our employees to do morning improvement. We call it fix what bugs you, work on problems, obviously organizing and cleaning our areas and doing all those things. And then right after that, we do another 30 minutes of education during a morning meeting with everybody and going through all those things. So an hour and a half every single day is spent to basically education, lean, and cleanliness of our facility, right?
Wow.
And after 5 or 6 years, there's you question every once in a while, like, am I providing too much time? Like,
Right.
Is this crazy?
Right.
And ultimately, we do about 30 minutes of morning improvement now, and we go through our cleaning schedule, which the cleaning schedule is an absolute. We've cleaned twice a day forever. So when COVID first hit, it was no problem for us because it's just something we've always done. We've always been very clean, always sanitized our areas, gone through those things. So we've obviously continued that. We give opportunity to organize and continue to do improvements in our facility. But as far as our morning meetings go, we can't all crowd into a conference room and be shoulder to shoulder with everybody because there's just no way.
Right.
So we've had to eliminate the morning meetings, and I will tell you it has had an adverse effect for us from multiple reasons. New people coming in, they're not as strong lean leaders as people who have had that. They don't have the opportunity to get the education that we were able to give before then. And the other thing is the unfortunate part is the rumor mill. When we were getting together every single day for 30 minutes, we had the opportunity to let everybody know what was going on. I mean, we talk about sales, we talk about all kinds of things, right? And it gives people an accurate representation of what's going on.
Right.
When we don't have that happening, everybody's left to kind of their own devices to come up with their own conclusions. And, unfortunately, the masses kind of get a little crazy in their thinking. So we've had a few times where just some rumors have spiraled out of control. We're shutting our doors and, oh my gosh, they're going to lay everybody off. And, granted, it's a very crazy time. So for people to get to that conclusion is not outlandish, but there's no way for us to be able to ease it until it's kind of spiraled out of control. So, that's one of the things that shows how important those morning meetings have been and how important it is to keep that lean philosophy going.
Right. And I'm sure it takes time. That rumor has been on the floor for a little bit before you even are aware of it.
Sure.
And
right.
So, then all of a sudden, holy cow! Now we have to address this with everybody. And like you say, if you had that opportunity, have you considered trying to do any kind of virtual meeting or any other?
Yeah. So what we do now is we meet roughly once a week. I obviously continue my leadership meetings with my supervisors and managers and team leaders and things, and we go through everything that's continued to happen. because I mean, your leadership is everything inside your organization. If they're not doing it, then it doesn't matter. So that continues to occur. But I've been basically taking the different departments in, and once a week we kind of have a touch base and, create an opportunity, an honest opportunity for people to ask honest questions, and I provide them with honest feedback.
Great.
We've never laid a person off in the history of our company, literally. And I used to love being able to tell people that during interviewing, because one of the biggest concerns for people is layoffs. And, they've been to a job and then they get laid off. They go to a job, they get laid off, right? And unfortunately, when we had to start making sure from an overhead standpoint we were good to go, we started, you look at your highest paid people and you work down. And, unfortunately, we found one or two people in there that weren't making the correct amount of wage for what they were doing for the company, and we had to let them go.
Right.
And, and it was very unfortunate. But we're honest about that. We let people know why this occurs and how these things happen. And, some of it's warm and fuzzy and some of it's just matter of fact.
Right.
And I want honest opinions from them, and I give honest opinions back, period.
Right. Great. Do you have any type of incentivizing programs or anything for your employees?
We don't like to do monetary incentives because it's just like a person who's gotten a bonus every single year at Christmas.
Yeah.
At some point, it doesn't become an incentive anymore. It just becomes the norm. And instead of it being a perk for you, it's like, hey, where the heck is my bonus, right? Yeah. So, it's just like all the millions of studies that are out there about, whenever a person gets a raise, raises are great, but in 6 months, they just want another raise. Yeah. So we're fickle beings when it comes to financially things. And ultimately, for most people, outside factors are dictating the amount of money that you want because you're putting yourselves in stressful situations where you always need more money, and it goes round and round. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to create an area where the incentive is you have a better work life, you have a better work environment, and we want to find people who are just intrinsically motivated to work and want to work. And then we reward them. Absolutely. When we have a really good year and those type of things, we reward people with bonuses and we give payments back. And, we have really good benefits programs and vacation programs and all those type of things. And then obviously, as we continue to work and when we do overtime and things like that, sometimes we'll do double pay versus time and a half and a few things to help incentivize. But really, we're looking for people that know that they get to come into a great workplace, and ultimately, intrinsically, that's what they want.
Sure.
And fundamentally, they are paid well. So you have to pay people well, and then everything else is beyond that. If you're not paying people well, then everything else doesn't matter.
Right. Absolutely. Do you have anything in place to kind of recognize employees for, reaching goals or specific, things that they might do that helps improve the business?
Yeah, so we have a few things in place. Like, we're very rigid regarding our reviewing process. Mm-hmm. So we make sure that people are getting multiple reviews throughout the year, so they know exactly where they stand. On birthdays and things like that, we do the normal bringing in of cakes and all those type of things. When people hit quotas or we get done with a really large job, we'll throw our pizza parties and stuff like that and do all those type of things. One cool thing we do every year, which COVID tried to put a damper on this year, but we were able to make it happen, was we do a huge company picnic every year where everybody gets to bring their family members to the factory. And that's what's really cool. Like, our factory, people have serious pride in our factory, and it's really nice because they want to get to show their families, their parents, their wives, their children, their husbands, all those type of things, and literally they get to say like, hey, this is where I work.
Right.
And it's really cool to get them to see like them coming in and touring their families around and really being excited about it.
Right. Yeah, I can see that because you have such a, like I said, highly automated factory. Sure. A lot of people, when they say, oh, I'm working at this plant that manufactures, things out of wood, people envision this dusty, dirty kind of environment. And so it is important to get out to everybody that, these are highly automated, high-tech jobs that you're working in. So yeah, that's really neat. Cool. Yeah. I think that's all the questions that I have for you. Do you have anything else that you want to share with our members at all, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously COVID is a very crazy time. The big thing is look for the positives, not the negatives. It's very easy to go down the negative rabbit hole and just have the weight of the world on your shoulders and not know where to take it. But, look at every challenge with an opportunity to it, and you'll find unique ways in order to do it. Obviously as leaders and managers and people that are, owners, whatever the case may be, you have a tendency to kind of become very singular in your decision making, or feeling like you're the only one that has to be able to figure this out. Gain a strong team around you, which you probably already have, and utilize that team to help come up with solutions to problems and do all those things.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, hopefully everybody gets a little bit of knowledge and inspiration out of our factory tour on the video, and we can turn 2021 into a good year.
I think they will.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, well, let's turn it over. We've got some questions in the chat, and we'll start that now.
All right, great.
Okay, everybody. Sadly, Guy just texted me while we were watching his video that he had to bring his daughter to the doctor to get a COVID test. So I think we all understand that. I see some good questions here, and so I will reach out to Guy later, and I will get back to you all and share the answers to those questions. And we just wish Guy the best. I'm sure that you thought that he's a pretty inspirational guy. He's got a lot of good things to say. So we'll just move right ahead, and we're going to get a tech partner update from Stiles Machinery. Chuck Carter and Christina Elsenbrook will join us after the presentation. So again, put some questions in the question box for them, and we'll hear from Stiles right now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chuck Carter. I'm the product manager for Solid Wood Solutions for Stiles Machinery. So today I'm going to walk you through a couple of things that's new on our side at Stiles regarding solid wood. So let's go ahead and navigate to share screen, and let's get going. So first, let's take a look at the XL model from our Kentwood resaw lineup. It's a larger, heavier frame saw featuring a 40 horsepower main motor. It still has some standards that we see across the Kentwood lineup with the hydraulic tensioning of the wheel. This cast iron wheel helps absorb vibration and helps wick the heat from the band. But the hydraulic pressure there keeps it consistently tight, consistently running and cutting your product very accurately. Now, the variable RPM of the band itself helps you adjust based on the finish quality that you need and according to the species of wood that you're running. And all of this information, as far as the feed speed, the height of the band, the RPM of the band, all of this is adjusted from a touchscreen interface. So it's very easy for the operator to come in here and set up the saw. Here we're showing the offset value, where as we cut the different lamellas off the top of the board, all we have to do is hit one button and it will automatically adjust itself down, ready for the next cut. Now the XL features a powered roller in the front, and like the other Kentwood saws, we have the automatic adjusting rollers, one before and one after. Now this is the 450 or 16-inch wide, so we actually have two rollers before and two after. And these are pneumatically held down, so it's got a lever on the front that once the board touches it, the air pressure is released. Once the roller is on the board, the air pressure comes back down. So very good quality, very good cut quality, up to 150 linear feet per minute is what we can do on this saw. So let's move over to our Homag products, and this is our Homag M300 four-sided molder. So with Homag, it brings a wealth of software solutions and technologies to setting up a four-sided molder, especially for complex profiles. At the heart of this is the power touch control system. It is a multi-touch device, so you can see we can drag and drop, we can pinch in and pinch out as far as zooming to see a product. But it's very intuitive. It's very much like, say, your smartphones today. So if you can operate a smartphone, you can operate a power touch control. Now this is actually very good, especially when you're running complex profiles. So in this demonstration here, we're running a reindeer. Perfect for, we're getting around to the holiday time of the year here. So with this complex profile, if you were going to do this in a traditional way, you could find an operator that's running piece after piece after piece through the machine before he gets it right. So with the HomeMag machine, using the technology in this virtual environment where we can actually see the profile before we profile, it does save a lot of time, it does save a lot of money, and you don't have a lot of wasted material. But the PowerTouch version 2 has been on the market here for about the last year. You see this here. This also brings us a 24-inch display versus the 20-inch display we had before. And if you look at the layers, the bottom layer where you have the spindles, and then here in the middle you see the actual shape the tool is going to cut on the wood. And you can go into a deeper layer here so you can see a more in-depth look of your profile and how the tool is going to interact. And here we're bringing up Tool Manager. We're going to scroll up and down. We're going to grab a tool and we're going to drag it and drop it over to the spindle. Boom. So now we see the tool representation before we cut it. We don't like it, so we're going to drag a different one. That's the right tool. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and make an adjustment to put it in the real position. And once we get everything dialed in to where we want it to be, we're ready to run. So again, it's just like a smartphone. It's very easy to use. Most operators like the visual today, not only in the machine setup operation, but on a lot of your complex drawings, pictures, the ability to pinch in, to zoom in and out, to see fine detail. It makes it very convenient, very easy, very simple, very fast to use. So there's our HomeMag.
Okay, I think we're going to have Christina Elsenbrook and Chuck Carter with Stiles join us. There's Chuck.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Chuck. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hope you're doing well.
And Christina, how you doing?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, WCMA. We are excited to be part of this.
Excellent. We saw quite a bit of HomeMag and Stiles machinery in the Inova plant. That was pretty impressive.
Yes. Guy is a true example of using technology to grow, but according to a strategy and a growth plan, and executing that plan well.
Mm-hmm. Great. Good. I don't have any questions from the audience. Audience, if you have any questions for anybody from Stiles, let me know. Is there anything else that you guys want to share with our attendees while we have you on?
I would like to say, on our side with the Solid Wood Solutions, we have a large product line from molders, rip saws, chop saws. I've only shared with you today just a small portion of what we bring to the table. The resaw, the Kentwood resaw, has really changed the market. We do very well with this resaw. And of course, with the HomeMag molder, the virtual environment today, it's really suited for the operator who's scared of a traditional molder, but they're more comfortable with their smartphone. So it helps them take away, say, not all the skill set, but it makes them more comfortable so they can do complex things in an easier, faster way using the technology today.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, I think that that screen that you showed in the video there, that is pretty exciting. That, like you say, it is more smartphone kind of feel to it, where you really have all the visuals of what the end mold is going to look like, what that's going to, the shape, everything. That's great.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
Good. Okay, well, I will make sure to share with our members your contact information if they have any direct questions. And we appreciate you being part of our virtual event. We're gonna take a quick break, so we'll let you guys go, and I'll just talk to the audience myself there.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're a little bit ahead of schedule, I believe, which is fine, but let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to hear from the Real American Hardwood Promotion Coalition. I am part of the coalition. WCMA joined about a year ago. This is a group that is of association executives that have come together. Associations are interested in promoting the use of hardwood over substitute materials. So you'll see a presentation about that and what we've done so far. So let's come back here at 11 Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. During the break, please take a seat at one of the tables. I'd love to sit down with you and have and chat. And we'll be back in 10 minutes. Thanks.